Later today, the new Republican-controlled House will face its first test, a vote on the bipartisan agreement to suspend the nation's borrowing limit.
And Chris, there is some concern this morning that the bill might not pass.
Yeah, good morning. So it all comes down to today. Here's what we know. We know that there is a growing number of Republicans that say they'll oppose the bill, creating uncertainty ahead of the vote, with the country possibly days away from defaults. In just hours, the debt ceiling deal brokered by Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden will finally get a vote on the House floor.
The more that people read in this bill, the more they find in terms of real conservative victories.
Last night, a group of GOP House lawmakers made a late sales pitch for the bill after it barely made it out of the Rules Committee.
7 yeas, 6 nays.
The agreement suspends the nation's borrowing limit through early 2025 in exchange for things like cuts to IRS funding, tighter restrictions on food stamps, and energy permitting reform. But a growing number of House Republicans have threatened to vote no, arguing the bill doesn't go far enough to rein in federal spending.
Not one Republican should vote for this deal. It is a bad deal.
Confident that we will avoid a catastrophic default.
Top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries is also facing concerns from progressive members of his caucus. He says he is holding Speaker McCarthy to his promise to deliver 150 Republican votes.
We strongly urge both chambers to pass the bill and send it to the president's desk.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the U.S. will run out of money by June 5th if a debt limit is not raised or suspended. All right, so House lawmakers are expected to go through a process of offering and voting on amendments to the bill before a final vote, which is expected sometime this evening. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will take up the bill as quickly as possible if the House passes. The key word, if.
Well, that's even if not all Republicans are on board with this, there can be some procedural votes in terms of getting Democrats over to the one side. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out.
Right. Yeah, thank you for breaking it down for us. And now we have local financial professional Ali Hashemian. He is joining us now to share how this might impact your wallet. So this is the government's debt, but really it means it's all of our debt. How does it impact all of us?
Yeah, you got to remember the government borrows money from various places to fund its operations, and they reach the cap on their debt, which is what's referred to as this debt ceiling. In January, they've been operating on this emergency fund, and if Congress doesn't approve this, we default, which means that would affect pretty much everybody in the country, regardless of your situation.
It technically could involve everybody in the world. I mean, the economic markets could go into pure turmoil. What I've been reading this morning, though, it does look like even the strongest opposition in terms of voices of the Republicans, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, are saying that they could get on board, they could compromise. What if, though, in the final hour, we don't have this agreement pass the House?
Well, how much time do you have? A lot of things. I think there's four things that probably would affect most people. We'd see a delay in government assistance programs. That's things like food stamps and Medicaid, but also something that affects almost every retiree out there, which is Social Security.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people count on this money.
Big time. And if people don't have a written retirement plan in place, that could be detrimental. We'd see a delay in federal payments. That would be things like disability or veterans assistance. We'd see a lot of volatility in the market because of the economic uncertainty just implied by the government defaulting. And then lastly, we'd see a lot of jobs loss, unfortunately.
And we're already seeing volatility. The stock market is not doing well today as it opened. So how should we prepare our finances just in case it doesn't go through? And even if it does go through, this is kind of a warning to all of us, right? Kind of a reality check about the things that are maybe out of our control.
Yeah, and I talked about market volatility, but really preparing your finances is more than just avoiding market losses. It's one part of it, but for example, I think a big thing that people haven't been paying attention to, and they really should, is taxes, because this debt is an issue that we're going to have either now or in the future, and the only way for them to really combat the debt is by increasing taxes. So if you don't have a good tax plan in place, you could be facing a lot of higher taxes in the future.
Maybe a padded savings account for those unexpected taxes. That's always fun.
Well, I mean, that's why they bring up this date, right? Because not all the taxes are in to be paid. That's why the Treasury Secretary goes, okay, we can pay these bills as of June 5th.
That's right.
You know, in addition to talking about the debt ceiling, we talk a lot about inflation. We have the jobs numbers coming out later this week. What are you most concerned about?
All of it.
All of it. Okay.
Especially the fact that it's all happening together. You got inflation, you got interest rates.
Is there any silver lining?
Yeah. I mean, inflation and interest rates means that there's potentially higher places that you can get more return on your money. So there are some silver linings. I think the main thing, though, is people should just plan. You know, plan for the worst and hope for the best. That's what I always say.
All right. It's good advice.
Ali, thank you.
Sometimes hard to do. Thanks for coming. We have more information on our website, kcalnews.com. Click Seen on TV and stay with us for the results of that vote and what is next. You can get updates on air, online, and streaming 24/7 on CBS News Los Angeles.